Hey everyone, RetroVival here, and considering we're just about to see the release of Ghost of Yotei, I decided to go and look back on the game that started us all on this incredible journey through Japan. I'm going to share some of my own personal experiences and opinions, and I definitely welcome you guys to do the same, so hop into the comments section below and share your thoughts on it. With all that out of the way, this is Ghost of Tsushima. During PlayStation's Paris Games Week 2017 presentation, we saw the very first reveal for Ghost of Tsushima. It was this incredibly cinematic trailer showing locations and characters from the game, all while the Mongol leader, who we'd later come to know as Khotun Khan, narrated over it. It's one of the best trailers for a video game I've seen, starting really quietly and calmly, and building up to him revealing his true intentions, with the music and visuals all getting progressively more dark and violent. The next time we would see more of Ghost of Tsushima was E3 2018, yet again presenting the game very cinematically, but this time they focused more on gameplay rather than just cutscenes. I remember straight away being absolutely floored by the visuals. The world itself looked gorgeous with its rolling hills and swaying grass, leaves and so on blowing in the wind, and just the visceral nature of the combat. The gameplay looked like what I wanted Assassin's Creed to become back in the day. Allowing you to face your encounters in different ways made it even better. Being able to walk in as an honourable samurai and stand off against your enemies, or lurk in the shadows and use more brutal tactics as the Ghost, it's such a great dynamic. The game would later get shown at the 2019 Game Awards, and then again during its own dedicated state of play leading up to its release. That state of play brought us to 2020, which certainly was a year. It saw the massive releases of games like Animal Crossing New Horizons, Doom Eternal, The Last of Us Part 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and of course, Ghost of Tsushima. I remember being so excited prior to Ghost's release, but noticing online there was actually quite a bit of doubt from some outlets and YouTubers and so on towards Sucker Punch being able to deliver such a game. Prior to this, Sucker Punch had developed way back when Rocket Robot on Wheels for the N64, but then as it went on they became a PlayStation only studio, developing Sly Cooper, being acquired by Sony and creating the infamous Series 2. They had a pretty damn good resume. I can't vouch for Rocket Robot on Wheels, I'll be honest, but the rest of them were really good. And they were capable of doing a bit of everything in their games in terms of its tone and nature. Sly Cooper was light, colourful and linear, whereas Infamous was violent, dark and open world. It also became a big question if a Western studio could respectfully represent Japan and its culture in a video game versus an actual Japanese studio. And let's just say, considering the directors of the game, Jason Connell and Nate Fox, were made tourism ambassadors by the literal island of Tsushima, it's safe to say they did a bloody good job. Starting up Ghost of Tsushima for the first time was one of those unique feelings you get with some games. That goosebumps hair stands up on your arm moment that can occur when a game hits just right. Stepping out of the Shrine of Resurrection in Breath of the Wild, entering Limgrave for the first time in Elden Ring, taking the first walk on your journey through Skyrim or Fallout, and then that first swing in Insomniac's Spider-Man. Those are just some examples of this. An example of you knowing you're about to step into a much broader journey. The battle at the beginning of Ghost of Tsushima is a tense and thrilling section of the game. You see the full brutality of the invading Mongols firsthand. Khotun Khan facing off against Adachi, who approaches him respectfully and honourably, only for Khan to douse him in alcohol and set him alight before striking him down with his weapons. You fight through hordes of the invading army alongside your uncle. With fire and death all around you, you get knocked unconscious and rescued by Yuna, and then you have to both sneak through the village to get your armour and weapon back. You eventually face off against Khotun Khan at the very start of the game, and he has your uncle held captive, but he absolutely decimates you in front of him, sending Jin flying off a bridge into the sea below. And despite all of that action, none of them are that goosebumps point of the game. That whole section is thrilling and tense, don't get me wrong, but it's not until one very simple thing happens. You acquire a horse. You hop on it and you gallop through the open fields for the first time. That's when it happened. The game goes from feeling like just a really cool samurai game with an engaging story to a work of art. Travelling around Ghost of Tsushima's map is a constant opportunity for an incredible screenshot. It's so beautiful and picturesque. Sucker Punch did such a fantastic job with the overall aesthetics of this game, and it makes it all the more haunting when you encounter locations that have been attacked already by the invading Mongols. That transition from those gorgeous looking areas to fire, ash and worse really helps make the reality that our main protagonist is living through fully set in. And when you're travelling through these fields or through these forests and so on, you have the ominous sight of a smokestack in the distance, letting you know that there's danger ahead. While you're experiencing all these incredible visuals, the soundtrack then just absolutely makes the game even better. Whether it's just the ambience, battle music, or an ominous build-up or emotional beat, it really does its job and takes the game to the next level. Ghost of Tsushima introduces us to Jin Sakai. Jin is the last surviving member of his house, and now serves as a ward to his uncle Shimura. Jin's journey in Ghost has him questioning his path as a warrior. The path of the ghost or the path of the samurai? Does he keep his honour and potentially fail in his efforts to save his island? Or does he embrace the ghost and use everything at his disposal to fight off the Mongol invasion? Different characters will pull him towards either path throughout, with the likes of Yuna being more focused on just getting things done by any means necessary, while his uncle Lord Shimura wants him to preserve his code and fight as an honourable samurai. Expectedly, this causes clashes with his allies throughout the game, and leads us through a really great story as we travel north through Tsushima. Khotun Khan really feels like a big threat. Fighting against him at the very start is like fighting Thanos. He's an absolute beast, and you really feel like you have to build up your skills and abilities to be worthy of facing him later in the game. The game also has a great mix of environments and tone throughout the story. Despite all of those darker moments in the games, you have those lighter parts where you have characters like Kenji giving you some good laughs throughout, and I always really loved when Kenji showed up. The one thing you'll notice with Ghost as well is that Jin and his eventual bunch of allies are all really like damaged or flawed people. Shamed samurai, vengeful widows, and someone like Yuna who's just been through hell since she was a child. You'll get to know all of these characters throughout the game and learn more about their backstories and just what makes them who they are. The game has several really emotional moments too that'll hit you hard, especially if you've gotten invested into the world and the characters that it gives you. And then you also have these grand set piece situations too, where you're storming a fort with your allies and facing off against an army alongside your friends. They do a great job telling all of these individual stories for each character, but bringing them all together as one unit when needed. And seeing them all interact is always such a cool thing too. I'm being intentionally vague with a lot of this, because if you haven't played Ghost of Tsushima yet, I'm hoping this might actually sell you on it. As you journey throughout the island and experience its story, you gain access to more and more weapons and tools, with your long range options being the long and short bows, each having their own kinds of arrows depending on the enemy type, distance and their armour. You've got poison and hallucination darts for your blowgun, along with sticky and smoke bombs to either cause some chaos or get you out of some. Your kunai is always a great option for stealth, and I like to use it as well as a quick fire weapon in combat, kinda like the Batarang in the Arkham games. Firecrackers and wind chimes act as a handy distraction when you need to get past someone or lure them into a trap. Your grappling hook will let you navigate the world differently, accessing new areas or reaching high vantage points that you previously couldn't. And of course, you've finally got your katana and your tanto. Your tanto is used for short range and stealth, acting as Jin's equivalent to the hidden blade in Assassin's Creed, while the katana is your main weapon of choice and is such a fantastic feeling weapon to use in combat. When you nail the standoffs, you feel like a badass, and then when you've finished a fight and you see someone crawling away, Jin can just walk up to them and end their suffering. It's a literal button press that comes up on the screen. And then him flicking the blade to clean it off afterwards. They're both details that just add even more to the combat. Stealth is another one where if you hit everything just right, you feel incredible. Like Jin is at the top of his game. Being able to chain together stealth attacks and then use a kunai at the very end on an extra enemy is some Batman feeling action. Ghost does such a great job making it fun to play the game either way that I often found myself just switching between both playstyles throughout because I enjoyed them both equally. When I wanted some crazy combat experience, I walked straight into a big enemy camp and challenged them head on, but when I wanted that Splinter Cell, Batman Arkham or Assassin's Creed feeling gameplay, I went full Ghost and moved through enemy camps and villages like a shadow. The world of Tsushima is scattered with the usual open world fluff kind of things, but I have to say it's one of those games that doesn't make it feel too overwhelming. Every time I spotted a fox or a bird I needed to follow, I was actually kind of happy to see them. It didn't annoy me, I wasn't like, oh, not another one of these. I actually went out of my way to follow them. The haiku locations gave you a bit of a breather and offered like a cool sense of calm to the world. The hot springs location offer a chance to not only upgrade Jin's health, but also to hear him reflect on his past and the events in the story so far. Bamboo strikes offer a way for you to up your maximum resolve. I will say the bamboo strikes were probably my least favourite of the bunch initially. I actually found it one of the harder aspects of the game, but there is a menu toggle that you can change that just changes how the button presses work, and it makes it a lot more enjoyable. And then there's the duels that give you these really cinematic feeling boss battles against some very challenging enemies in one-on-one combat. The presentation of these fights is really well done. They all take place in either very scenic or dramatic areas. There's 25 of them scattered throughout the map, and some of them can be really tough to beat. One of the best inclusions of the game though has to come down to his waypoint system. Instead of intrusive things on the screen pointing you to where to go, the wind just changes its direction towards the current objective or map marker. It's something that prior to Ghost I never would have even considered an option, but now I think it's one of the best navigational systems used in games. It doesn't get in the way and it lets you still feel like you're exploring by yourself despite following the wind's directions. The Iki Island DLC was a great expansion to an already fantastic game. It brought us to a smaller area off the coast of Tsushima and introduced us to another antagonist called the Eagle. She's a shaman and introduces the shaman enemy type with her. Their chants boost enemy soldiers, giving them extra health and undodgeable attacks. You'll need to keep an eye out for them and prioritise taking out the shamans before the fights get too tough. Iki was a shorter experience from the main game obviously, but it was a really fun DLC, and while adding more characters and locations was great, it actually expanded on Jin's backstory more and even the events of his father's death, with the battle that took his life actually taking place on Iki Island. We get to see Jin reflect way more into his past and his relationship with his father with flashback sequences. It gives you a lot more context to not only Jin, but the Sakai clan in general, showing you two different perspectives of the same side of the war. Jin's father looks at it as a general who needs to get the job done, dealing with the trauma of his own past and the responsibilities he faced in the present, with not only the war on Iki, but his son too. And then you have Jin's side, seeing the aftermath of it, and questioning the cruelty and need for such violence against just regular people who are trying to defend their land. Legends offered a fun co-op mode for Ghost that brought a lot more of the mythological aspects of Japanese folklore into it than the main game. You can play as a samurai, assassin, ronin or hunter, each having their own gear and abilities. There's a story mode that has you tackling different missions while the narrator tells the story. Survival mode has you holding off against hordes of enemies while you're defending control points. Versus has you completing different objectives and being able to send bosses over to your opponents to trip them up. And then Tales of Io was a raid mode that had 3 chapters. I spent a little bit of time in Legends, but not enough to talk too much about it. I really enjoyed what I played of the story though. Playing Ghost in some shape or form and co-op with my friend was really fun, but I almost wish, considering they added the multiplayer support, that they would have just added the option to play through a bunch of the different camps and Mongol controlled locations in the game co-op. And maybe even let you tackle some of the samurai duels co-op too, with the samurais being a lot more powerful to fight even with multiple people. So we're now 5 years from the release of Ghost of Tsushima, a multiplayer mode and an expansion later too, and I need to say it, Ghost of Tsushima is one of my favourite PS4 games, and I think one of the best exclusives that PlayStation has ever made. Jin Sakai's story was badass and tragic all at the same time, but it was the world of Tsushima. It was so incredible, and I can only imagine how good Yotei's is going to be. Sucker Punch really hit it out the park with it, and while I'm sad to say farewell to Jin Sakai, I'm really looking forward to what stories are yet to be told in Yotei. I'm avoiding a lot of the reviews and media going into the game because I want to experience it for myself and I want to have my own opinion. It is a high bar to live up to, so hopefully with its new weapon options and other features, it'll reach that for me. So, that brings us to the end of the video. Let me know in the comment section below, did you enjoy Ghost of Tsushima, or are you waiting to play it? And if you have played it, did you play it on PlayStation for the first time, or were you holding out for that PC release? I'd love to know. Thanks so much for joining me on this one, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.